make the next block in our quilt. This is called the 9-patch star block. Alright, so let's get started. So to make the whole quilt, you're going to need some fat quarters, some extra fabric, a background fabric. You're going to need to print out the Mercantile Sampler Sew Along Block Guide, and you can get that on Lori Holt's website, beinmybonnet.co.blogspot.com. You're going to need something to make a 12-inch circle so that you can trace it onto your interfacing, okay? I bought the Lori Holt ruler, but if you can make something or you already have something, you can use that too. So here is our layout guide for our block. As you can see, each piece is labeled with a letter that will correspond to the cutting list, so you know what size to cut those fabrics. And then it also has our measurements for our sashing. This is a list for all of the fabric pieces that you need to cut for our block. It's labeled with a letter, how many pieces you need, and which sizes. Okay, so now I have all of the pieces cut to make our block. As you can see here, we have our background fabric, and then all of our squares, and then our background squares, our interfacing, and our pattern, and our 12-inch circle. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make four patches. So I have all of the fabrics laid out as she does in the pattern. So now we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to sew these 4 patches together. All right, so the next step is, now that we have our four patches sewn together, we're going to take our background squares that we have left, that we cut, and we are going to snowball the red corners of each of these blocks. So you know how each block has 2 red squares? We're going to put these background squares over those red squares, and we're going to stitch it diagonally from corner to corner, and then flip it back and you will see your block, okay? So let's start snowballing all of our red blocks on each of our 4 patches now. All right, so as you can see, this block comes together really fast, and it's really simple to make, even though it looks difficult. Okay, so all we have is 4 patches, and then 4 2 patches, and then our 1 patch in the center of our block. So now what we're going to do, we have our block laid out, how it's going to be sewn together. We'll go to the sewing machine and we'll sew it in rows, and then we will sew our rows together, okay? And then we're going to come back and we'll press our block, and then we will add our sashing next. Okay, so the next step in making our block is to piece our background squares. So we're going to need 4 8-inch squares of fabric to sew together, and we're going to sew it together on our sewing machine like a giant 4 patch, okay? So let's go do that now.
and subscribe to Grandma's channel. Like and subscribe to Grandma's channel.